Isaac Matheney was a typical American citizen. He had the most outrageous laugh that was contagious if you heard it. And his fashion sense was definitely something he was proud of. You could imagine him wearing the newest pair of Jordan 12s with an outfit that complements his shoes, as well as a snapback hat with those chunky square earrings that guys used to wear during 2016. Isaac, just like many others, had mental health barriers that he was dealing with, and his barrier happened to be schizophrenia. Isaac was a father of 5 and a husband. He would always teach his kids the ins and outs of how to respect the police if they ever got stopped by them. But what he didn't think to teach his kids is what happens if you're killed by them. Brutally gunned down by the police, Isaac Matheney was killed. A black man was yet again failed by the corrupted policing system led by racism. My name is Kiasia Baggenstos, and I'm a member of the Media and Social Action Arc at the University of Oregon. Welcome to my episode of Hometown Secrets. It was New Year's Day, 2021. It was approximately 10 a.m. when Matheney left his father's house in Klamath Falls, Oregon. He left in his father's rental car, headed towards Valley Falls. At the time, Matheney was dealing with mental health issues, as he had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, which is a disorder in which people interpret reality abnormally out of their control. He was also going through a rough patch in his marriage. When he left his father's house, his intentions were to go and make amends with his wife, who lived in Eureka, California at the time, with 3 of their children. Matheney stopped at a gas station, demanded the cash out of the register, and had what appeared to be a rifle with him. After he left, a gas station employee called the police and told them that people were threatened by a black man with a gun, who may be intoxicated. Police wasted no time with this report. Deputies and troopers successfully deployed spike strips on State Highway 31 north of Valley Falls in hopes to catch Matheney. According to the reports, Matheney continued to flee, but at once he came to a forced stop. Officers demanded that he get out of his vehicle, and he didn't, because he finally realized that his mental health had gotten the best of him, and he realized he never wanted this to happen. Matheney wasn't taking any drugs. He was struggling with his mental health. When he finally got out of the car, 5 officers fired their weapons. Five officers for 1 black man. Isaac Matheney was shot 14 times, kill shots to his head and chest. Not once did he fire a weapon, as officers reported he did. It was impossible for Matheney to fire a weapon, because his rifle was a replica, meaning it was fake. There were no bullets in that gun to be fired, and there was no reason for officers to murder Matheney, especially since his autopsy reports proved that he wasn't intoxicated. Why aren't these officers trained for mental health situations? And why do they always have to shoot their guns? Isaac was a human. He was a person whose smile lit up the room, and who had the biggest gap that it would make you laugh. And most importantly, he was a family man. He was a husband, a brother, a son, and a father. Isaac Matheney was my father. January 8th, 2021. The last time that I returned to Klamath Falls was for the viewing of my father's body. I walked in and chills instantly filled my body. If I would have known the last time that I'd be seeing my father was this way, I wouldn't have believed it. Due to the gunshot wounds, it seemed like it was very hard for my father to be presented at the viewing. He wore a beanie which covered the kill shots to his head, a gray t-shirt covering his chest, and his lower body was covered with a blanket. My father's skin was as cold as snow and reflected as perfectly as a brown porcelain doll. As everyone left the room and watched as I mourned my father, a small stray kitten walked next to me and wouldn't leave my side during the last words that I shared with my father. The kitten had no tail, and nobody dared to come near it because it was quietly reading me and the rest of the room. We exchanged a glance, and the kitten walked out of sight. I've always heard people show up in ways we could never imagine, and I'd like to think that the stray kitten held a purpose that day to make sure I was woke from its presence. My childhood hometown now breathes many secrets surrounding its existence, and this was only one of them. The Black community is tired of burying our people. We want justice. There are so many names on the list. From George Floyd to Breonna Taylor to Sean Wright, Isaac Matheney, Tyree Nichols. The list goes on. There are so many other ways to stop crime and help people who are struggling with mental health issues. So when will it stop? When will the proper training be put in place to prevent these injustices that are brought upon our community? Nobody can tell me or my people that police brutality is not targeted towards African Americans when the system was built off of catching runaway slaves and returning them back to their slave masters. You cannot tell me that what those 5 officers did to my father wasn't racism. There are so many other names on the list that haven't even been acknowledged. So many stories that have been buried because people are scared to speak up and use their voice. Murder shouldn't be a secret, and I'm gonna make sure that my father's name is remembered. Now we're going to hear from Jada Miller, a Black woman who lives in Portland, Oregon, and we're going to hear her thoughts on police brutality and how it's affecting our African American community today.
You see a lot of injustice and a lot of racist going on, especially since COVID. You've seen a lot more of that happen. Black men and women both are shot more by police than they are Black on Black crime. So I do feel like it's a lot more towards Black people than white people.
Police brutality has taken over in America today. And to think that my father was killed in my childhood town, where we've shared many laughs, many meals, first-time experiences, and our last hug. It's heartbreaking to imagine these things, as I never thought I would have to face this. How do I explain to my children that their grandpa was killed by the men in blue who were supposed to protect us? How are Black people supposed to feel safe when we're constantly the ones on the open end of the fire? How do we build a hometown without any secrets?